So now, apparently King Charles and his queen Camilla are supposed to be visiting the Republic of Kenya, which is debatably an honor to the Republic of Kenya to be considered as the first African country for the visit by the monarch. But I have seen something very, very shocking from sections and groups of Kenyans. I want to welcome you to this one-sided debate as always, and this is Kenyan Opinion. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Now, let's delve right into the gist of the matter. Kenya has had a very interesting history since her colonization by European powers, like the entirety of the continent of Africa, only this time under the British colonialists. We went through a lot of problems as Kenyans and as Africans in general, from the kind of suffering meted out on our forefathers, some of whom are up to date alive, by the European powers, until in majority of the countries, our forefathers stood up and said, no, we are not going to take this bullshit anymore. This is our land. This is our country. We cannot accept to be tortured and mismanaged. We cannot be micromanaged in our own republic. And they took up arms and decided to say no, which is historic, really. But my only concern is the fact that after colonization was booted out of the big African continent, Africans have not realized that they are still under colonial powers. And before you start blaming me and telling me, create a study, in your own time, create a time and study countries like Uganda, for example. Uganda, after getting independence, has had various presidents who have all had to, whose majority have had to take power through military conquests. Every time you hear a military conquest or any war anywhere, even for example the war in Russia and Ukraine, or even in Israel and Palestine, ask yourself, or even for example the war in Haiti, ask yourself, who funds these wars? So, who was funding all these military coups in a country like Uganda? Because they were not funding themselves. They didn't have the money. But they were getting money, they were getting food, they were getting weapons, they were getting machinery. Where were they getting all these things from? For example, General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni should come out and clearly tell us who is it that was giving the money. Who is it that gave money to Paul Kagame of Rwanda to sustain the military war that he waged to get power? Of course, I'm not judging them and saying they are bad or good or all that kind of shit. I'm not that kind of person anymore. I'm not one to stand and say, oh, this person mismanaged this and all that. Because, I mean, we probably would have been worse given those chances that these people are enjoying. Look at the Republic of Congo, for example. the Democratic Republic of Congo. Even though they have one of the richest countries in terms of resources, they have a stooge president. They have a stooge government. And this stooge government is being challenged very harshly by some equally stooge gangs who are fighting wars, for example. And when I say this, some people will come out and say, oh, you don't exactly understand the problem. But I have talked to several Congolese people, they are all over the republic, and they tell us, we don't even understand why they fight. We don't know. Literally, someone who comes from the region of Lake Kivu will tell you, I don't know what they fight for. It's probably the resources, but I don't exactly totally understand. Why? Because it is not the common people who fight these things. So who are these who fight these wars? For example, in Nigeria, all those gangs that the government is unable to squash, who funds them? The truth of the matter is that they are funded, and they are not funded from Africa. Majority of them are not funded from Africa. And even those that are funded from Africa, it's only that Africans are used indirectly. Africans are just links in the funding of those games. So now, when I hear of such a visit like King Charles coming to the Republic of Kenya, the question is, how should Kenyans be waiting for this person? Respectable as he is, the leader of the Commonwealth, the king of the Great British Isles, the question is, what should be the conversation in the African people's minds? Because I've heard some stupid people, for example, I've seen the Pokots saying, oh, they will want to be compensated for what? Oh, others want the head of or coyote, others want to be compensated for the Mau Mau damages, all manner of gimmicks and stories. And I mean, more than 60 years after independence, those are the kind of things we are still focusing on from our colonial masters, while we are still being micromanaged. Someone should tell us that we are still stupid, we are still uneducated, even though we have attended schools. Someone should come out and tell us that we do not have anything between our 2 ears. And we just have an ear, the bones and the nice skins, nothing in between. And even if it is there, it is mush. This is not the kind of conversation we should be having. We cannot be talking about getting compensated 60 years after independence. So nikija kwako na niibe leo, utaishi kuniambia lazima nikulipe even after 100 years. I mean, Africans need to decolonize their minds from this kind of stupidity. We cannot be having this conversation again. We need to be talking about and telling the British, we don't want your companies in our country. We want to own our resources. We want to own the companies that produce our own goods. We want to own everything in our resources. We want to own the money that funds our government. We want to own the things that run our economies. We want to own the jobs. We want to own the companies. We want to own the resources. We want to own our own educated men and women. We want to own the workforce. We don't want your interference. This is the conversation we should be talking. We should be telling the British, we don't want your interference with our elections again. We don't want you to try and interfere like we saw last year in 2022. That is the kind of conversation we should be talking about, telling the king when he comes. We should not be talking about puny things that happened during that long time ago, 60 years. Imagine that child, Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, who was born 2 years. In fact, he was born in 1964, and we got independence in 1960. That is when we started getting our independence. 4 years after, he has been president, and he is even a retired president today. And we are still having the same puny debate about getting compensated, getting reparations for what? Those people who even fought for independence, majority of them were betrayed. They died horrible deaths. The families of those who fought for independence, they don't have the fruits of the independence. So tell anybody who is talking about getting reparations and compensated, you are thick in the head. Those are the same home guards who actually betrayed the people of the Republic of Kenya. When Kina Jaramogi were trying to fight so that the resources can be redistributed, so that Kenyans own the land, their fathers and their mothers were the people who were actually fighting to own and hold all the resources. That is why even today Kenya is a capitalist country where a majority of Kenyans are poor, millionaires, zillionaires. They own zero resources. We don't have even homes in our own country. We don't have homes. We are renting. We don't even have any single thing we can stand and say, this belongs to us because we were born in this country. We are descendants of this country. We don't own things. We don't own businesses. Look at the Wahindi, they have come here. They have set up industries. They own the industries. Look at the British, they own companies. Look at things like Bolt. Who owns them? Where do the money goes? So even if we were given 20 billion US dollars by the king in reparations, what will it help us do? It will not help anything. It will not solve the fact that we underwent through a period of injustice, and we need to heal from the fact that we suffered through an injustice. We need to stop playing victims. We need to stand up and say that we underwent a period of injustice, but we are no longer the weaklings who need to be compensated. We are the strong people who stand up for our own rights. We are not standing for our own rights when we are telling the king to, pay us because you, we should be telling the king, stay where you are. We don't want you to come to visit here. Those are the kind of things we should be talking about. We don't want to be members of the Commonwealth. We don't want to be members of we don't want British interference in our politics. We don't want British companies owning resources in our country. We want to be the owners of those companies. We want to be the owners of those industries. We want to be owning all those things, not this puny kind of stuff. Reparations, you the head of Angahu, who you don't even know, you never saw and you will never see. Even if you get the head, how will it help us? How will it put food on the common Kenyans' table? Let's even imagine that it is taken and put in display in the National Museums of the Republic. Of what good is it in those museums? I know some people are going to sing about our history, our history. After that, we already know our history. We know where we come from. Where we don't know, even up to date, is where we are going. We are still diddling, trying to look for a way. We don't know. We don't have a clear path. We know our history. Even though some of us are still thinking between their ears, they don't even know the history of the Republic. But we know our history. And our history is a history of mistreatment, colonization, deprivation, and stealing and rooting corruption from our government. Our history is dark as dark gets. But then, do we have to keep playing victims? We can stand up for ourselves. We can say that we are going to be different. And that is all we need to do. We don't need to do anything more. And after that, we will be like Singapore. We can be like India. We can be like China. We can be like the Middle East. We don't have to play victim. We don't have to ask for reparations. We can do it ourselves. We don't have to beg from our former masters, who are still our masters anyway. We don't have to. We don't have to wait until the Americans come here and help William Samoei Arap Ruto to become the president like they did. We don't need that shit. We don't need anybody to stand up for us. We don't need roads from China. We don't need goods from Japan. We don't need cars from anywhere. We don't need nice machines from Germany. We don't need anything from the UK. In fact, we should be taking things to the UK and telling them, now because you used to steal these things for free, now we want you to take them at a price so that you can feel the pinch. And we even tell them, if you are not going to buy them, we are going to be selling them to the Germans. And if you are not going, and if the Germans don't buy them, we have China. We should be talking about, if you are not going to sell them, to buy them, you are going to take them to South Africa. We are going to take them to Uganda. We should be taking them to Egypt. We should be saying that we will take them to Morocco. But here we are, stupid and puny as we come. Oh, we still want reparations. We want to be compensated. The Maumau's ujiwantanga what? Ambieni hawa watu wachocheze bwana. We cannot continue like this. Africa cannot continue to play victim unless she wants to suffer for the rest of her life. And that is okay if that is what she wants. But, and I see a big but on this one, if that is the kind of things we are going to tell the king once he comes, we are going to continue suffering. Yeah, that is why our president, stupid as he is, when I say that our president is stupid, some people are bound to stand up and say, oh no, he's against the current government, he doesn't love his country, he doesn't. But that is your opinion, and I can let you keep it. But this being Kenyan Opinion TV's opinion, I can say clearly that our president is not doing very well. And he is not solving the problems that Kenyans wish to be solved. And I think that henceforth, Kenyans need to start having a conversation of, we need change. And we want this kind of change. And we are not going to take anybody who comes telling us that he is going to change. Kenyans need to be having an honest conversation from within themselves and saying, we are not going to take just anybody who comes telling us, oh, I will do this, I will do that, whatever you say I will do. We need to be honest to ourselves and say, this is not even what you tell us that will matter anymore. We want evidence-backed, evidence-based. Give us proof that you are of that school of thought. And then we can start saying that we have actually come out of the grip of our colonial masters. Let's not be as petty as these people are. And anyway, even if we are paid all that money, where does the money end up? Maumau wamepewa pesa mara ngapi? Wameambiwa, oh, mara pesa zimetolewa, watu ya Maumau wasaidike. The actual warriors, have they gotten the benefits? They have not. Majority of them have not. So let us change the way we put across our frustrations. Let us change the conversation. Let us change the whole table. The table we are currently on discussing matters is spooked. Ni kama tumerogwa bwana. We need to change everything. From how we think, from how we talk, from what we say. We need to change everything. We need to have an honest conversation within ourselves. And this, once each and every Kenyan does, we shall be able to change. We shall be able to get impactful development from our republic. We shall be able to see Wanjiku living a better life. And that is all that we need to have. Not all these other things that we are saying, not all these other politics and all these other gimmicks. And with that, I think that I can welcome any other comments from the comment sections of all my social media channels, from YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, at Kenyan Opinion TV. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. The only platform that is different is at Paul Kursh Pale Twitter, where I also wish you all the best, and I want to hear your opinions about the same issues. Thank you and have a very wonderful time.